Hey, what is going on guys? RvzStealth here, and in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at a few of the underrated or sleeper OP picks for 7.15. So this meta right now, it mainly consists of a lot of tank champions in the jungle, and I feel like a lot of people have still yet to kind of figure out what's good against these tank champions. So we're going to mainly be focusing on the champions that are good against these tanks in this video, because there's still a lot of picks that are very underplayed right now, but are actually pretty strong in this meta. The first champion here, and probably the most underrated champion in this patch right now, is Mundo in the jungle. Now Mundo jungle, I did feature him a few patches ago in one of these videos, but I think in this patch right now, I want to talk about him again because I think he's extremely underrated in this meta. Right now, the jungle meta is a lot of these tank champions being played who don't really have a lot of consistent damage. So if you've got a Mundo on the enemy team and the other team has someone like a Maokai jungle and a Cho'Gath top lane, if they got a few tanks on their team, you're just not going to be able to kill the Mundo. If he just builds Resist for if he just stacks armor, if they've got one AD threat and they've got two tanks on their team, then if the AD carry does not get ahead in the early game, then he just stacks armor. He's not going to be able to be killed because he's got his ultimate running. He's going to stack a ton of Resist. His clear speed in the jungle is extremely good as well. He takes Raptors super fast. He also takes Krugs really fast, so his early game, it's not the best compared to some of the other junglers, but early game jungling isn't super important in this patch right now. Basically, the strongest junglers are whoever can scale and that can be super tanky come the mid to late game, so Mundo just fits very nicely into this meta. And then the final reason is because he just synergizes extremely well with the support meta right now. Mundo is great with Soraka, he's great with Sona and Janna as well. Any heal or shield support is just great with Mundo if they do have a low cooldown shield or heal, because if you're stacking a ton of resist on Mundo and they just keep healing you and keep shielding you, then you're just never gonna die come mid to late game team fights. Another pick here that I'm very surprised hasn't really seen a resurgence or anything, or he just hasn't come back into the meta, is Trundle. I think right now, situationally, Trundle is a very good pick in the jungle, the support role, or in the top lane as well. If the enemy team does have a few tanks, if they do pick Maokai, Sejuani, or any of these strong tanks right now, I think Trundle is just a great counter pick in those situations. I still think he's not the best blind pick, and it's usually why he's not on my tier list, but I do think if you use him as a counter pick and you just ult the tanks in team fights, then it's going to be a lot easier for your team to deal with those tank champions, and they're just not going to be tanky at all because you're just going to steal all the resist and it's going to be very easy to burst them down. And then Trundle's support actually does a really good job against Blitzcrank and Thresh as well, because if they do end up hitting a hook on you or your AD carry in the laning phase, then your pillar just does a really good job at disengaging and allowing you to back up so that the Blitzcrank can't really follow up too much on the hook that he just landed. These next two picks here can be played in either the top lane or in the mid lane, and they're Swain and Vladimir. So these two picks right now are very strong for similar reasons, so I'm going to talk about them at the same time. Both these champions did see an increase in win rate over the past few patches, but neither of them got buffed. So I think the main reasons to why these champions are a lot stronger right now is mainly because in extended fights to where the enemy team does not have a lot of burst damage, they do extremely well. If the enemy team does have a few tank champions, say they have a Maokai jungle and they also have like a Cho'Gath top lane, then it's going to be very hard for them to deal with a Swain or a Vlad in a team fight, because they're just going to be sitting around, they're just going to be healing off of you in team fights, and you just won't have the burst damage to kill them. They're also eventually probably going to get a Zhonya's and a Spirit Visage in their build, so they're going to be healing a lot, they're going to be building resist, so they're going to be even harder to kill. And then like I said, for Mundo, because we're in this meta with these support champions that also can provide healing, if they both grab Spirit Visages, then the amount of healing they're going to be getting in team fights is going to be extremely good. So I think these two picks right now for the top and the mid lane are very underrated and extremely good picks in this patch. And then the final champion here in this video is going to be from the bot lane, and it's KogMaw. So unlike Vlad and Swain, who do a really good job at sustaining against tanks, KogMaw is one of the best AD carries at actually killing the tanks and shredding them in team fights. With the percent damage from your W with KogMaw, it's very easy for you, once you do get your Blade the Ruined King as well, and once you get a few core items, to just very easily be able to shred through tanks come mid-game team fights. He's one of the best tank shredding champions in the game, probably other than Vayne. So I think that especially right now with this support meta that can do a really good job at protecting KogMaw, he just fits into this meta super nicely. And if you are up against a few tanks and you are playing AD carry, then I would not pick someone like Lucian in this patch or Jinx. I would just pick KogMaw if you are confident on the champion, because he's going to be a great pick for you at just dealing a lot of damage against the tanks and being able to deal with them when you do start team fighting. So that's going to be it for this video, guys. This one was mainly focused on good picks against these tank champions right now, because I feel like a lot of people are just not really adjusting to the meta and they're not playing what's good against these champions right now. I've seen very little of Swain, very little of Vlad or KogMaw right now in this patch. So if you guys do play these champions well, or you do play any of the champions in this video, then I'd recommend giving them a shot in 7.15. So that being said, guys, thanks for watching. If you did enjoy the video, then be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you have yet to already, and I'll see you in my next video.